Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk about something that comes up a lot, and I get people who bring this up frequently among people who want to go compete in something particularly physique-oriented things, whether it's bodybuilding, physique, bikini, whatever, and people always say this thing of, I wouldn't hire someone who's never competed, or I would not hire someone who doesn't look better than me or hasn't looked better than me. And so for you people, I would ask you a question. If any of you wanted to compete in bodybuilding or physique or anything like that, but particularly bodybuilding, and you had a choice between hiring two coaches, would you hire Flex Wheeler, who was almost Mr. Olympia several times, was a top competitor in bodybuilding for pretty much a decade before he had health issues and had to retire, or Alan Aragon, who has never competed? I don't think we've ever seen him under about 12 or 13% body fat. Has no competitive experience himself. Which one would you hire if you could be given one of the two for free or at the same price within your budget? Which one would you hire? Stop and think that one through. Now, before I go into a little more detail as to both of their knowledge and coaching ability, how many of you are aware that there are NFL coaches who've never played in the NFL, some of whom never even made it to university ball? Or you take someone like Joe DeFranco, who is one of the top trainers in the world, who gets people into the NFL, one of the top in the world. He had to quit playing football in high school due to an injury. He never went beyond the high school level, but he played in high school. So that is his qualifications as far as football experiences, that he played at the high school level, just like hundreds of thousands of young men. But due to a tumor in his spine, he had to quit playing football before he finished high school and got to university. One of the top trainers in the world. There are guys who have coached NFL teams all the way to the Super Bowl and have won Super Bowls who never played football. Or if they did, it wasn't beyond maybe a high school level of that. There are people who have coached boxing champions who have become number one, who have become the reigning champion, who have never competed in boxing or fought inside the ring in a real match. There are guys who have coached top MMA guys who have never fought in an MMA match. There are coaches who have coached Olympic medal winners in a host of different sports who have never actually competed themselves in the sport. Now, experience in a competition can be useful because it adds a body of knowledge, but it is not going to give you everything that you need to know, and it may not even be necessary to coach the best of the best. Same with bodybuilding. We have bodybuilding prep coaches who have coached champions who have never competed on the stage. And that may come as a shock to a lot of you, but it's true. In fact, there are people who have coached top-level bodybuilders who've never even been under 10% body fat. They've never been contest shredded or even within 15 to 20 weeks of contest shredded. So let's step back and look at the Alan Aragon versus Flex Wheeler example I'll give you. And I can say some of this stuff about Flex because he has publicly admitted it in interviews. Flex Wheeler has openly admitted heavy steroid use in the past and very heavy drug use. How did Flex Wheeler get where he was? He had coaches. He has amazing genetics. He has some of the best insertions and muscle bellies and bone structure you're going to see for bodybuilding. And he started using drugs immediately. He admitted in an interview once that I heard that he started using steroids the same month that he started lifting weights, that he first joined the gym. He joined the gym and started using steroids within a month and never quit. He used them all the way from then up until he was competitive in the Olympia. He has amazing genetics, and coaches picked up on some of his stuff. Now, as far as his knowledge itself, he has experience competing. Yes, absolutely. Tons of experience competing. I saw in interviews back when he was a contender for the Mr. Olympia. I've heard interviews that I saw on video and read written interviews that he gave. When discussing things like training or nutrition, I can promise you that at least a minimum of 50% of you would have laughed if you saw those interviews, because your knowledge right now, some of you who've been lifting weights for a year, working out for a year, have probably obtained more knowledge about training and which lifts actually work, which muscles, and how many heads each muscle have in the body. Most of you know that the deltoids have 3 heads. Most of you know which lifts for certain will isolate any of those heads. well, not necessarily isolate them, but put the most emphasis on them. Most of you understand the importance of calories in, calories out. So you have a good understanding of nutrition. You know roughly how to figure out approximately how much protein, fat, and carbs you need, that a calorie deficit reduces body weight and a surplus makes you gain weight. You guys know the basics. Those of you who know these things actually have a better understanding of training and nutrition than Flex Wheeler did in those interviews when he was a contender for the Mr. Olympia. You were more qualified to discuss these things than he was at that time. He provided the genetics. He provided the body. He didn't provide the knowledge to get where he was. He didn't have the knowledge at the time. Now, he might have changed a lot and learned a lot since then. I can't say for sure. But at that time, he didn't. Alan Aragon, on the other hand, he does have a master's degree in nutrition, but credentials aren't everything either. Credentials, just like experience competing, aren't everything. They're a useful tool. But Alan Aragon is the nutritionist for Stone Cold Steve Austin. He is the sports nutritionist for several NFL players. Guys who have to only hire people who are going to make sure that they keep their multi-million-dollar contracts, they perform their best. They don't just hire anybody just because they have experience competing. They need to make millions and they can't afford to risk it. They're going to hire people who are good, who get results. And then when it comes to bodybuilding, Alan is the coach and has coached a lot of natty pro bodybuilders. And I'm not saying natty bodybuilding is natty when I say that, so no one get all bent out of shape. But he has coached them and gotten guys into extremely lean condition with the paper thin skin and the shrink wrap glutes and everything that you guys are talking about. He has coached and prepped top level bodybuilders who have won national level shows. He has never competed. So that being said, for the people who would make comments or ask the question of should you hire someone to prep you who has never competed, I would ask you, would you hire Flex Wheeler or Alan Aragon if you had to pick between the two? A top champion who is almost a Mr. Olympia or someone who's never stepped on stage? All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.